I'm Tom Laux, Communications Director for the City of Marshfield. And thank you for joining me today. And today's guest, Lori Belongia of the library.
Good.
Thank you for joining me. Our monthly program that we get to sit down on, I believe it's already the third Thursday, isn't it? Wow.
It came fast this month.
It did. Well, I think it's because the first was on a Thursday.
That's right.
That's why. Well, we have a lot of events that you want to talk about because fall is just around the corner. I can't believe it. And let's go right in to the children's library portion.
Okay.
You have calendars from September and October.
We do. And generally, you know, there's some programs that repeat themselves. Our story times on Mondays at 10 that are open to anyone, anytime. Just stop in because we'll have a story time every Monday at 10 a.m. And then on Tuesdays, generally we have a family activity night. You can see that on the third, it's first day of school, we thought, yeah, we're going to give everybody a little break there with no program. So we'll be starting that on the 10th of September, and that's going to be a Lego night on the 10th at 6 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock the next week on the 17th, there's going to be a Codebusters night. And the kids work on various activities that teach them how to code. Often they're using little tiny robots. They're about the size of this. And they code the robots and they do certain things. And it's a great way for the kids to learn while they're playing at the same time. And then on the 24th, we've got a really special night. We have a special program that's called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And the idea behind that is to get families reading to their children 1,000 books before they reach kindergarten. By that time, and with that kind of commitment, those kids are exposed to thousands more words than they would be otherwise. If they're reading interesting books all the time, those kids are getting, the other thing is they're spending some nice time with their parents. But they're being exposed to children's literature. They learn how a book works, that you turn those pages, and sometimes when they're really little, that's all they care about, is flipping that page back and forth. So they're learning about a hinge and all of those sorts of things. We don't even think about that as learning, but it is. So they're getting used to the rhythm of language and the repetition, and if you're reading the same book over and over, and with kids, especially little ones, they really like that. They're building memory, and they're getting familiar with that particular book, and they can tell you when you skip a word, they want you to go back because you've missed something important for them. So that particular program, when we get enough of the kids that have reached the 1,000 books, we'll have a graduation program. So we've got about 10 that are going to graduate that night. And so that's our regular Tuesday night. We'll have the graduation right before we have the family activity. We're planning to have a performer come in that evening. So and that's also at 6 o'clock on the 24th of September.
Well, that sounds exciting. And this graduation, these kids have already read 1,000 books then.
It's only as they finish.
So this program's been going on for a while?
Yeah, it's been, I think we're in our 4th year with it now.
Okay. So, that
fourth or fifth.
That is a great accomplishment.
So it's kind of neat when you start to see those kids. Sometimes they were babies when they started, and now they're finishing, and it's really neat. And some do finish right before kindergarten, and some finish before that. So,
yeah. But any book kind of counts, is that correct?
Any book counts, and any one reading to them counts. So that they come to story time, they can count that. But generally, it seems to be a lot of times it's bedtime stories for most families. That works out well for them.
Usually when I'm doing it, just to put the personal perspective, I'm falling asleep.
Book ends up right.
But my daughter's like, wake up.
Well, that's a long day, right?
Yes, and that happens quite often. So, but yes, reading is very important for young children. It's a development stage, like you say.
Oh, it is. Wednesday, actually Wednesday the 11th, we have a program that we're kind of rolling back in again. There's a special program. It'll probably be about 10 a.m. on the 11th. It's a daytime program. So if there are kids that are not attending the public schools and they want to get some coding, they can come to that program. So there might be homeschoolers, it might be anyone else that happens to be not in the regular school programs. And then on Friday mornings at 10, we have a toddler story time. It's really intended for those kids that are maybe less able to sit still for a while, and we encourage the parent to stay in the room with them. But again, that's anyone can come. There's no registration, but we do take a break in that program every once in a while. But
Okay.
the Mondays are steady.
So we're good on the 13th, 20th, and 27th. The 6th,
right.
There isn't going to be one.
Right, that whole first week of school, yeah.
That's right. I can't believe it. And some schools actually start before this now, like Columbus, I believe they're starting on the 28th.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's like 1 week away almost, because it's Thursday as we're taping this on the 17th of August already. Wow. Well, that's you got a lot of stuff for September.
Well, and we have one special story
I
time.
missed it.
It's on a Saturday, and we
Okay.
do those once a month. And the idea is to give those families, the working families or kids that are normally in daycare, a chance to come to a story time at the library. And so those run about one every 4 weeks, and the one in September will be on the 21st, and it's at 2:30 in the afternoon.
How do you choose the books, or do the kids get to the children's librarian?
The children's librarian usually.
Okay.
The person doing the story time usually chooses.
Okay.
And often they'll have a theme that they're working around. So they'll
Okay.
work up a theme, and they may or not have a craft. They have some finger plays, some songs that go with it. You can sometimes, especially with the really young kids, you can only read so long before you need to do something that gets the energy out of their system, so they can sit and listen to another story or two.
All right. So anybody can come,
Anyone.
and there's a Saturday on the 21st of September. The children's library, if are new coming to the area, where is it located in the library?
Oh, the story times and almost all of our youth programs are in the J.P. Adler room, which is, if you come in the front door, if you go kitty corner across the library, it's almost straight across from there.
Okay, so it's all on the first floor.
On the first floor. All the children's activities are on the first floor.
All right, sounds good. Well, do we want to talk about a little in October? We can.
Sure.
I know that we'll hopefully pick it back up when
yeah.
you come on the 19th of September. But just maybe the first week, and then we're going to go right into the adult
Sure.
section.
Well, also in October, we have another family story night. Family story time on the 30th, which will be a Monday. And then the 1st will be another family night at 6 o'clock. That'll be a craft program. I don't know whether they've chosen the craft or not, but since October, I suspect pumpkins will be involved. And then on the 4th, that's the Friday, 10 a.m., we have our toddler story time again. And then a special program on Saturday, the 5th, is Ghosts with Judy Cook, and she's a storyteller, and we're bringing her in to do that. That'll be at 9 a.m. And that, again, is planned for the J.P. Adler room. If we find out that there's a huge response to it, we may look to move it into the community center. But we like to keep it in the library because, people are coming to a library program. We'd like them to use the library when they're coming and going.
Yeah, most
So-
definitely. All right. Well, let's talk about what you have going on with adults that are coming to the library.
Sure.
I'm sure you have a lot of, I'll say regulars. I bet
We
you see every
absolutely
day almost.
Oh yeah, we have some folks that, there are a number of people that use our computers every day.
Okay.
Some people come in for the newspapers, others for magazines.
Okay.
Then we have our genealogist, and I wouldn't say they come every day, but they come steady. And we do have a volunteer that helps out on Tuesdays from 10 to 2 o'clock in the Felker genealogy room. That would be Don Schnitzler, and if people know Don, he's kind of Mr. History for Marshfield, and I think he can pretty much recite family genealogies from the area just from his head. He knows who's who and who's related to who. So
he's from the area.
He is from the area, and
Okay.
he has a really good, solid understanding of who lived here and who's here now.
Yeah, Don does a great job. He's a community producer for
Mm-hmm.
his show, and he's also one of our volunteers if we ask him on our behalf to do a video. He goes out
That's
there.
right.
So very, very nice person. And but yeah, there's so many things that are going on. The newspapers, I just wanted to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of different subscriptions then for people?
We do. Let's see. I would guess there are at least 15.
Wow.
So there are a number of local papers, but then we also have the New York Times, the Minneapolis paper. We've got the Milwaukee paper.
Okay. And isn't it something to still have a paper in your hand?
Well, it is.
It is
'cause,
to me.
You know, when you go online, I mean, you can get tidbits, but you have to have a subscription if you want the whole thing.
Yeah, now you do.
Now you
Years
do.
ago you
no,
did.
you didn't have to.
Years
before,
ago it was free, but you know, I always said
They've learned.
Yep. And everyone knows, or not everyone here, but most people know if from my previous, that was my main career is newspapers. But yeah, I think in the 90s when it happened, they should have started the pay portal. It'd be a lot different nowadays. I don't know where it would have went.
I couldn't tell you. It is a change. I know myself. It's a different experience too, because when you're reading online, there's something more physical. Well, I'm obviously more physical about holding the paper, but I think it cements things in your memory differently, and maybe that'll change as people get more and more familiar with working with a different format from the beginning.
I think so.
But I know myself, it's like, okay, what else was going on at the time? And I will remember that physically in a way. It was like, oh, that was on the front page, or that was that was in the middle somewhere. And so it helps you remember things differently.
It really does. And as an editor and editing, I still really am so used to, I'll catch more errors from a piece of paper than any day of looking at a screen. And I think, I don't know why, but I think that's my generation, or our generation that had that. We didn't back then. Computers weren't in my high school, really. Not really.
Well, I even remember when I first got exposed to word processing in the beginning, I still had to write it out longhand before I could, and then eventually I got so I could compose on the computer, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is so much easier. That really belongs down here, and it just moved. So I think it is a learning thing, a matter of learning differently.
Yeah, and like the e-books and all that kind of stuff, but you have the newspapers, they can't leave the premises, but they're there for people to read and enjoy and relax, right?
Well, and exactly, and if there's something they do want to take with them, we've got copiers too.
Okay.
So and it's funny, that's another transition. I mean, it used to be a really big deal.
Oh yeah.
And it's still important, but it's not what it once was. People are able to save to a thumb drive, and they could just get and save information differently
They
too.
could. I don't know. You could even take a photo with your cell phone.
You could, yes, they do that too. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. There's another one. That's just not a natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the
It should
days
be.
of encyclopedias, and you'd have to put a quarter in to copy it for school. But well, let's move on to these. I know we got off a little bit of tangent, but newspapers are a
that's
big piece
interesting.
of the library.
They are.
And I think that's good information for people to know. All right, which one would you like to
Well,
start
let's
at?
see. I think the first one coming up is the Earthwash discussion group. That's on September 4th. It's Wednesday night. It starts at 6:30. The Earthwatch group is something that grew out of a program that we had right around Earth Day, of course. I mean, it kind of makes sense. We had someone come in and talk about the Aldo Leopold Society, and there was a special film. And the group kind of gelled, and they decided they wanted to do a little bit more. And so each month they're kind of taking on another chapter or two of the Sand County Almanac, discussing that and going forward. So it's interesting. Every once in a while a group will come together and it really resonates with people, and this one seems to have done that. So that's September 4th, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And anyone is welcome anytime. It's not like it's a closed group. It's all of our groups are open.
Okay.
The next one we would have coming up is the Garden Guru. That's a program that we're working with the Wood County Master Gardeners to put on, and they're going to be kind concentrating on putting your garden to bed for winter. We're into September. It's not quite time yet, but people will be thinking about how to do that and what's the best way and how can you, if you think about how you finish something out, especially like with a garden, how do you prepare it best for when you want to use it again?
Oh, definitely.
It's kind of like putting away your lawnmower at the end of the
Yep.
year. If you don't do it right, you're going to be sorry.
Yeah, you will. I haven't put my garden in yet, so I think I'm a little late.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be time.
Well, maybe. You
You
never know.
never
At
know.
first, spring lasts for so long now compared to it. I think it used to. But yeah, mulching, putting leaves on, all that. I bet you that's all part of this process.
Well, and which plants do you cut back? Berries and things like that, or yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely. You don't want to be ripping out perennials, I think, or I don't want to go there, but because somebody will correct me.
I'll be honest. Every year I have to look that one up because each one, it could mean the other, and yes.
And sometimes weeds look like plants, but that's what this will be very interesting, and yeah, it's coming up quick, and before you know it, we're going to have yard waste stuff. And that's what you can do with it.
Exactly.
Instead of just tossing it away, it can be used.
It can be used.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Use it again.
So,
At the end of the month, we call it ERMPL. It's we used to call it, Marshfield Public Library was a mouthful. We at Everett, Roehl, Marshfield Public Library. Inside the library, we call ourselves MPL. Well, now we call ourselves ERMPL, and ERMPL fits. And so the book club will be meeting on September 30th, and that's at 6:30 p.m. The book they're going to be discussing is The Life and Death of the Great Lakes. And this is, it's one that I believe the university used for one of their programs. I think UW-Madison a number of years ago. But this program also is going to take place in the J.P. Adler Room. It's at 6:30, and they'll be discussing the book. Anybody, again, is welcome to attend. It's probably, you can contribute to the discussion if you've read the book, but if all you want to do is hear people's opinion about it and find out what other people thought before you read it, or hear about the book itself, people are welcome to come to that too.
okay. Is the book available?
The book is available at the library. I'm betting right now all the copies that we have are in use. If someone is part of the book club and we know that they're going to be at the next one, we make arrangements. We work with other libraries to bring in extra copies so that everybody's got a copy of the book.
All right. So this takes place on a little over a month from now, September 30th. So The Death and Life of the Great Lakes by Dan Egan. Egan. So if they're looking for it, they should just reach out to a staff person.
Sure.
Ask them if you have it, and if you don't, how can I get it?
Okay.
I'm sure it's available if you want to purchase it online.
Oh,
too.
it is, but we also have a service we call interlibrary loan.
Oh, that's right.
And it works because we're able to tap libraries throughout the state to have a copy brought in. We also are part of a delivery service that comes 5 days a week. And so often something comes within a week, or knock on wood, sometimes the next day. Now, we can't promise that, but it works very well.
Okay, great. All right, Adult Craft Night coming up.
Adult Craft Night is one that people do have to sign up in advance for, and they check in with our information desk. The heavy demand and limited resources on that one, and so we ask people to sign up. We also try to make sure that as many people as possible can be exposed to the craft night. If we didn't have the sign up and kind of space out how often people use it, then it'd be the same. It'd be a club, and we're not looking to do that. We want to have as many people exposed to these experiences as possible. I'm not sure that they have selected the craft yet, but sometimes they have a paint night, and other times it's a craft.
All right, and this takes place again in the Adler Room, right?
In the Adler Room, and
A
the
lot of
date
stuff
hasn't been
is
set
in
yet.
that room, isn't there?
We
Busy
use
room.
it. We use it all the time.
Okay.
That's another piece of what the library has to offer to people too, and it's not that room isn't available just for library programs, but other people can book it and use it as well. So heavy
great.
use on that too.
Great. If you guys are interested in calling the library, 715-387-8494. And the hours, Lori?
After Labor Day, we will be switching over to our regular hours, is what we call them. So we're open from 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturdays, and 1 to 5 on Sundays. So we resume our Sunday hours after Labor Day.
Okay. All right. Well, they can give you a call, stop in. Looks like Sundays will be back.
Sundays will be back.
Weather should go the other way, but
One,
let's hoping not yet.
exactly. And well, and if people have questions, they can always check our website, which is www.marshfieldlibrary.org. And the library also has a Facebook page.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff on there that
Oh,
you
yeah.
can search and get sign up for some of these events. There, the Earn Poll is a way to sign up for, right? I believe
Right.
you get emails of what's going on
Yes.
if you want to go electronic.
We do have,
Yep.
we do have that ability for people to get electronic newsletters too.
All right. Well, we had a few more things, but we're out of time.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. And we'll bring it back next month.
Okay.
Because it's the items that we're going to talk about aren't going to go away.
Nope, they'll be
And,
there.
they'll be there. And we'll leave you guys with that. Thanks, Lori, again for coming and sharing all this great information. A library is a huge asset to all of us. And you can't say enough about your library and libraries around us. Very, very important to our learning. And as we all know, schools are opening back up in a couple weeks. So they'll be ready and gearing, and I bet you will have more people coming.
And we'll
in.
be ready too.
All right. Sounds good. All right. I want to thank you. I'm Tom Laux, Communications Director for the City of Marshfield. This is Connections, and today I had Lori Belongia from the Library Director. She's the Library Director, excuse me, from the library, and we meet once a month. Again, thanks for watching Marshfield Media Access.